Okay everyone, it's pre-stream time, which means that I'm getting out all my nervousness on camera ahead of time, while Dustin here sits here and pokes fun at me about it. But I figured before we got into the stream, we'd take a moment and ask Dustin kind of like, what's the backstory about why did you even start the channel is probably the main thing, because quite honestly, I've never asked this, and it's always interesting to find out why somebody started a stream. So why did you even like start the JATMN channel in the first place?
Well, originally, I wasn't going to do any streaming content at all. I had the internet and everything for it. I just didn't want to do it because I'm horrible. It doesn't appear to it now, but I'm horrible in front of camera. And everybody complains that there's so many cuts in my videos. And it's not really because I don't know my lines. It's because like I get a really dry throat while I'm talking. So I'll like stop and I'll have a pause and then I'll continue talking. And I'm just cutting the dead space out in the middle. So I'm actually really bad on camera. I'm a lot better in person. But, so I was always afraid of the streaming aspect. I started my YouTube channel mostly to just share my findings. One of my first videos was a modification for the Ultimaker 2 for the printhead. And it was this like major discovery that made me enjoy the machine because mine was having issues and Ultimaker didn't even know what was up with it. And then it started going into like budget filaments because that's what I was using. So I was reviewing budget filaments and just kind of giving my thoughts on it because people kept asking. And then it started kind of like quite rapidly actually turning into a lot of 3D printing reviews and hardware reviews, printer reviews, accessory reviews, filament reviews, and it actually turned into like trips and events. It was really awesome. But it wasn't my intentions. It was very interesting. Like, it was just something to do. I had no real thoughts of it actually getting very big or growing or anything. And that's why probably one of the reasons why my channel is still not as large as it probably could be. And it's just been really fun. It's been a really fun pastime. The streaming aspect actually started because I was really bored during the holiday season. Because at the company that I work at, we close for like 3 weeks during Christmas. Because everybody that works at the company either goes out of town or out of the country. And then most of our customers and vendors are closed randomly through the holiday season. So we just shut down completely.
What are you going to do?
Yeah, so like I had several weeks of like just bumming around at home, 3D printing and doing nothing. And I was like, screw it. I'm going to try to do a live stream. And I did a live stream and people enjoyed it. And I did it again, and people enjoyed it, and a couple more people started watching, and then I just kept doing it. And I probably did a dozen live streams almost just during the holiday portion, and it was doing really well. And I started looking at my analytics on YouTube, and my analytics was actually going up. So I was seeing that the live streaming was a positive aspect for my channel, and so I just kept doing it. And then I started running short on time, and you'll notice like the release schedule on my channel is I don't really release during the week.
Yeah.
I don't have the energy or the time to do anything during the week, so my release schedule's on the weekend. So I needed something for a filler during the week, and I figured I'll do live streaming. But then I kind of ran out of ideas of what to do with the live stream, so I decided to launch. I was a big fan at the time of Tech Talk that was hosted by Barnacules Nerdgasm, Jerry Barnacules Nerdgasm, and Jay's 2 Cents. And it was an awesome talk show, and they just like ran their mouths and just made fun of each other and everything. It was funny as heck. And I decided I wanted to do kind of a show like that, but I didn't have a co-host or anything. But I wanted to be able to just kind of ad-lib whatever I wanted, but I wanted it to be relevant.
Yeah.
So I made it a goal that once a week I would make sure I did a bunch of research during the week, during my lunch or whatever, and find out what's going on in the industry or find out trends or see what other YouTubers are up to. And then I would do a show and I would talk about it. I would tell people. Because at this point in time already, people were always coming to me asking me about this or about that or what I think about this or have I heard anything new coming up or whatever. So I figured I'll just do a talk show about it. I'll talk about what's coming up. I'll give my opinions on things. If people are interested, they'll watch. If they're not, they won't. And it ended up snowballing, and now it's a weekly live stream that has a very decent following. People love it.
I mean, the thing I loved about the live stream is especially during the whole Keiko crisis, how you pinpointed on that, and you were very like, this is what Kickstarter's about. This is what the rules are. No, they didn't screw you. Here's probably where they went wrong financially, and you really broke it down and tried to do your best to stay like an unbiased third party and be like, yes, it sucks they didn't work out, but here's the rules. No, they didn't do a peachy on you, so stop saying that. And kind of use it a little bit as like a cautionary tale for other people, just in general with regarding Kickstarter. So I really found like that one in particular, that whole series, very interesting that I caught. Because sadly, usually I'm busy when the live streams happen or things like that, but I do try and get on when I can because they are genuinely interesting. When I was able to catch those, I'm like, wow, somebody's really pinpointing on something that's a very contentious topic in the industry right now. But I like the fact that you brought in your own experiences and things like that to the table to really reinforce the message that yes, it sucks. No, they didn't intentionally screw you.
Yeah, it's really interesting because my professional career is very diverse on what I did in the past as far as different types of jobs, and what I do currently just happened to fall hand in hand with what was going on with the Tico. I work in manufacturing. I'm used to dealing with China. I'm used to dealing with third-party vendors. I'm used to dealing with engineers that have all these great ideas that don't work out always, and I'm used to saying and seeing when timelines just don't make sense or when budgets just don't seem like they're right on. So when I started seeing what was going on with the Tico, I'm just like, for me it was like, duh, this is what's going on, even though it looks like something else to the general consumer if they don't have that knowledge already. Right. So I wanted to make sure to put it out there to help everybody to understand the situation a little bit better and see what the difference is between what they were doing and what some other Kickstarters have done in the past, so that they are more knowledgeable about what's going on in the future with other stuff.
And that I thought was a good thing because it was a good tale for everybody, not only people doing a Kickstarter but also those backing it, and just in general shedding some more unbiased light on the subject, because they were getting a bunch of crap for things that may or may not have been their fault and a lot of misinformation. It was a mess.
Yeah, it was. I mean, in all honesty, I'm still upset about it because I've got a Tico up there.
But it doesn't work.
It doesn't work that great, and technically they sent it to me not even knowing I was a backer. They sent it to me as an evaluation, but I was actually a backer originally. So
you technically never received mine either. Anything.
I mean, I can kind of consider say, I've got this one and I got my money out of it. But at the same time, I mean,
you don't have two Ticos.
Yeah, essentially, I don't have two Ticos because that's what they said is I would have my unit would still be coming. And if they somehow magically pull a rabbit out of their hat and come back, I still have a unit coming. But in the meantime, it's a table lamp, so I'm not complaining too much about having it.
I mean, at least you got something in the mail. You can give them that.
Yeah.
So are there any episodes or projects or things that you've done that stand out to you as like your favorite, or are they all like special in their own like way that makes them memorable to you, or do you kind of understand what I'm saying?
Well, there's a lot of stuff going on in the community, especially this year. There's a lot of people that are trying to break out of their comfort zones, a lot of people trying to get into their comfort zones, and a lot of people trying to diversify, which I actually really like, because towards the end of 2016 and right at the beginning of 2017, a lot of people were kind of doing very similar content because that's kind of what everybody was doing. Now more and more people are doing different things. Angus over at Maker's Muse is doing more projects and prototypes and experimentations and design work. Joel is gotten out of his comfort zone and started to do some design work and showing off his great content. He's a great person to watch in general.
He's just got that like personality that makes people want to hang around him and watch what he does. So I think it's good that he's now using that popularity as well to promote 3D design, because and is absolutely no diss to Joel, because I understand not everybody has 3D design skills, but it seemed a little bit annoying. It's like he's super popular, but he's not really designing anything, and I can understand maybe he didn't have the time, or just didn't feel comfortable, which I totally respect. But I really like the fact that he was then breaking out of the mold with doing the wacky weighted fidget spinners and stuff, trying to show how 3D design worked. And yes, you're designing simple things, but really it's not hard to do, and that I thought was a good thing, that more people are trying to break out of their shell and show how to make something, because I felt like what was going to happen is everybody was just going to download from Thingiverse, all the designers were going to say, the heck with it, and we were going to be left with nothing.
Yeah, that's something I really commend Joel on, is breaking out of his comfort zone, even if it was just the fidget spinners.
Oh yeah.
Showing that he's interested in design stuff too, and that his whole channel is not just about reviewing the new hot printer that's on the
Or
market.
downloading the next it thing from Thingiverse, which is
Right.
absolutely nothing wrong with all of that. It's just, if you have that, star power, and even if all he ever does is designs fidget spinners and tops and little SD card holders, who cares? The point is he's showing it's easy to design, and it kind of gets people more into the wanting to design things, which is good.
Yeah, well, everybody's got to start from somewhere.
Oh yeah.
And if you realize how easy it is to design these little spinners or containers or anything like that, you're like, oh, well, if I add a few more lines to it or a few more features to it, now I've got this other functional thing that I need. So it's a great starting point.
Exactly. It's like when people see the stuff that I designed, like a model train passenger body, like, wow, that looks hard to do. I'm like, no, it was really simple. I just drew the shapes, cut out the windows, and it was done. Like, the only complex things like the roof and the underframe, just because of the things that have to be precise on that. But otherwise, even then, it's still relatively simple once you know what you're doing.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
You know?
But it's really nice just seeing a lot of people breaking out of their norms or breaking out of their comfort zones and trying new things, because it makes the channels that much more unique and that much more diversified, and it gives just the general viewer a better experience because they're not seeing something that they've already seen.
Oh yeah.
That's one of the things that I like about your channel, is that you're showing off a lot of your machining stuff that you're doing now, a lot of your the brazing that you were doing. You had those were fun to watch, seriously. The guy messing with pyrotechnics on camera.
With
that's
big
awesome.
old poofy
With
hair.
Big hair.
With big hair. I did.
How did you not burn your hair?
Okay, I did actually, believe it or not, light a couple of strands of hair on fire the other week when I was when I was working. It wasn't on camera, so I'm working and I hear like this popping sound and this smell, and I look out the corner of my eye and I'm like seeing like a little bit of hair. I'm like, oh shoot! Like doing that. But that's why I don't know if you guys have seen it on camera. I think if you watch my angle block videos, you'll see me wearing that hood. It's an actual Fireman's Nomex hood that a friend, his dad who's a fire captain, her daughter gave it to me years ago as a Christmas gift and just told me don't die while wearing anything. I'm like,
I can imagine that could trigger some memories.
yeah. So I actually wear that thing when I'm working just because I don't have to worry about, burning my face off or things like that. But yeah, it is. Thanks for the compliment, though, about trying to branch out and show different things on the channel, because I want to show that not only do I know how to do different things, I'm trying to incorporate them into various projects, like showing, yes, you can build things and it's not as hard as you think using other materials and other methods, and even if people don't have a CNC machine in their garage, at least they can understand a little bit more about why things cost what they do as well, which you probably deal with when people are like, well, why can't you just make this for $5? I can buy it for $5. And you're like, because of the work that goes into it.
Yeah, but it just goes to show that you can diversify if you put your mind to it, and if there's a different type of project or a different type of skill set that you want, or if you have and you want to chase after, or a passion that you want to chase after, it shows that people aren't afraid to do it, and if people start seeing that you're not afraid to do it on camera, they're more willing to try it on their own.
Oh, yeah.
And we get more makers in the community that are doing very unique things in different ways that we wouldn't have thought of.
Exactly. I mean, it's like the thing that I find cool is when people will combine their interests. Like, I've combined 3D printing and machining when I made my Thingomatic extruder, because I 3D printed a little clamp to hold the extruder part in because I didn't want to cut an aluminum jaw, and I milled it. Or, when I built the chess set with my friend, we 3D printed the prototype and then we machined the final one. So it kind of showed how you can use 3D printing in unconventional methods to create an end product either directly or indirectly. It's kind of a cool way of mixing things up and showing it's not just building hairy lions and giant Yodables and giant sweet swords.
Yeah, and then at the same time, I 3D printed this. I honestly wasn't comfortable with painting it or anything. I gave it to Calvin. He doesn't claim to be a painter of any sort, but he put his mind to it and proved that you can knock out something really cool if you just put the effort into it. And now he's got painting added to his list of machining, brazing, 3D printing, design, welding,
lighting my hair on fire.
I mean, that's awesome. That's what I like seeing in the community, and I'm very analytical myself when it comes to different things, so I'm too critical of my own skills. And so I like encouraging others to reach out of their comfort zone or to further empower the abilities that they already have. So when I do my content on my channel, I'm always hoping that somebody can see that and be like, wow, that just reminded me I should try to do this.
Exactly. And the other thing is, it's like, this thing was mostly painted with paints that I got for free or very cheap from either like a Habitat for Humanity restore store or from the Thousand Oaks Toxic Waste Recycling Program, where you can get free paints and stuff. And I think I had to buy like a can of body filler that I needed for other projects. So it's like, what really went into making this was not a whole lot, and it really didn't cost very much, if anything, to paint the thing, because I mostly just used what I had on hand. But it goes to show that with not a whole lot of effort, you can actually take a 3D print from looking like something that's kind of like a cartoon to something that actually looks almost like a movie prop.
Yeah, this is freaking awesome.
Thanks, dude.
But, and then there you go. That goes back into the whole aspect of making is just being able to take something and creating it from nothing, or creating and repurposing something. You just pointed out that you have all these resources at your disposal if you know where to look.
Exactly. And that's the other thing I'm trying to bring out, is showing ways that you can get things for budget, cheap, low cost, that sort of thing. 'Cause a lot of people go, oh my gosh, it's expensive, I already threw down a bunch of money on the machine and I really don't have money to buy an airbrush. And it's like, you don't need that. Spray cans, that's all I use for this, spray cans and model paint with a brush. So, yep.
That's awesome, man.
Thanks. Well, I guess that concludes our little impromptu interview with Dustin here, aka the JATMN. I will have links to his social media stuff down below, and if you can make it onto his live show to watch, it's actually really interesting, and he genuinely puts in a lot of effort into the research behind the things, and he's also very passionate about what he's talking about, which I think is another thing that makes the show interesting, instead of you just sitting there going, and this is the news going on in the 3D printing community, and I don't like this, and I don't like that, and this sucks, and this person's awesome. It's actual, like, he's bringing his life experiences and things like that into it, which I feel really sets him apart from other people, because it's stuff he's learned over the years, stuff he knows, and stuff he's researched, and he really is passionate about trying to inform the community so there's less whiny, uninformed people, and more people who at least understand what the heck's going on.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole intentions of the show, is if I can get at least one person by the end of the show to say, oh wow, I didn't know that, then the show was already worth it. And there's been several times where I've had people come up to me and just be like, oh wow, I totally didn't know anything about that, thank you for sharing that with me. And that in reality is like why I do the show, is to spread the knowledge. And so if you guys want to check it out, it's Wednesdays, 7 p.m. Pacific, which is currently -7 GMT because of the time change.
Something like that.
Yeah. It's California time. 7 p.m. Pacific every Wednesday over on YouTube/JATMN. And it's usually pre-scheduled at least an hour in advance so you can see it.
Yeah. And it's definitely worth checking out, and if you can't make the live show, definitely watch the recap of it afterwards. It's definitely interesting, although sometimes the chat gets a little crazy.
Yeah, the chat gets a little bit crazy.
And Nightbucket's a little cranky.
Yeah, Nightbucket's cranky. But no, there's a lot of people that actually told me that they enjoy the show after the fact because they enjoy it like a podcast. They won't even watch what's going on. They'll play it and enjoy their morning coffee or something.
Maybe you should try doing that, actually taking the audio file from it and like trying to upload it to another site for a podcast is a thought.
I've considered it.
I mean, you got an audio recorder right there. You might as well simultaneously record it, upload it, and just be like, well, here's the recap of the show as a podcast. It's a thought.
Anything's possible.
I don't know. He's got the technology.
We have the power.
We can rebuild him. Going all $6 million man there. I'm Steve Austin. Okay, let's get ready for the stream. See you guys later.
See ya.